Right,
What did I say? Hold on.
I'll say it as well because mine was the same. I'm waiting for it.
Yeah.
So the time that I spent in my past putting myself into comp prep, putting myself into dieting, trying to stay lean, I think all that time and energy when I could have prioritized lifting more, when business wasn't such a focus for me, when coaching wasn't such a focus for me, when I didn't have all these other responsibilities, and when I had a lot more motivation, because we always have a lot more motivation, we always have a lot more oomph when we start. I put all of that into just chasing dieting, and I always think how much more, like how much further ahead I would be if I actually committed to the process the right way instead of spinning
Mhm.
my wheels. And today here with me, I have Jess, and she literally, I quote, we facilitate the process for them, as in us as coaches. We facilitate the process because we've been there. We understand the mindset behind it. We understand what it's like. And we could have been a lot more productive in the process ourselves. And it's really hard to see that unless you go through the same cycle yourself, or unless you actually slow down a little to have that awareness within yourself. So here we are. We have my twin from the other side of the country because literally we're just spitting opposites. I mean, spitting similarities, but opposite sides of the country. It's like a fraternal twin. So let's talk about comparisons. And in that, the fact that when we are comparing ourselves, we are putting on a lens in that we don't see ourselves as we truly are. We are seeing ourselves through the lens of how we feel about ourselves, our past history, our past experiences, our environment, what we think about ourselves to be true, and where we have been in the past, our past struggles. And if we've lost a lot of weight in the past, we might still see ourselves as that person. If we tried to lose a lot of weight in the past, we can still be stuck in that whole identity of I struggle, I fail, I suck, I can never do this. And then comparing that to seeing people blitzing it, killing it. They have the bodies that we say we want, that we dream of, but we don't understand what goes into that. We don't understand the mindset behind it. We don't even understand anything besides the pixels on the screen. So I'll let you lead in with that thought.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm going to start with what is comparing yourself to other people actually bringing you that's going to be positive. Like, are you going to are you going to get inspired, or are you going to get influenced in probably the wrong way? Inspiration is good because it actually facilitate maybe a little bit of extra motivation. um Influence is different, and especially if it's from a negative place, like I should look like that already, or I wish I would look like that, or like I put so much effort and despite everything that I'm doing, I still don't look like that. So when people compare themselves, I ask them first, like, is this really like helpful in a motivational way? And most of the time it's not. And you cannot compare fairly because you don't actually know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know if it's exactly, if the people actually look like the way they display on social media. You don't know if their full days of eating are actually what they're regularly eating, or if it's just something to get traction and to be like to go viral. You don't know how long they've been doing that for. You don't know their genetics. You don't know pretty much, I mean, you can know a few things about them, and the comparison will still be unfair because you're not them. And that's pretty much the bottom line about comparison. You're never going to have a fair comparison because you are your own person. And again, getting some inspiration from what other people do is great. If you're getting completely influenced and you're only chasing your own motivation through how other people look, it's kind of detrimental. You're not starting your journey the right way, or you're not being fair with yourself. Does that make sense?
It's starting you off on the wrong foot. It's not allowing yourself to actually do the process the way you should be doing. Because if you start off with this comparison, and this is what I hate about before and afters, because it's like, I want that after photo, I want that before and after. Look at the progress she got. And you're already putting on an expectation that this is what your journey is going to look like. And when you start the journey, you don't even know what's going to pop up. I had a girl that started with me in February, and we have not had even 2 weeks of just soothing flow through the process, because there was a cruise, there was a death in the family, there was her being told she had COVID and she didn't actually have COVID, and then she had an operation and now she's still in hospital. So all these things can happen along your journey, and if you stay stuck in that mindset, that's going to stop you from making any of the progress that you can actually make to get you further ahead. And she has made so much freaking progress in this time. Wait, what? She didn't have time to even have any traction and she still made progress? Yeah, because her mindset around food was trash. We got her eating more food. We got her even going on holidays. She went on holidays in that time too, and no tracking. She actually ate mindfully for the first time in her life and stopped when she was full. I will have to actually give credit to the therapist that's on my team as well, because I work with the therapist and she's been working with him, which is what has really helped her in this process as well. And this is why you can't separate the mind from the body. But back to the original point, if you think that your journey is going to look like that 6-week, that 12-week transformation, you are in for sabotage, because you're already putting the pressure on yourself. And this can lead into the fact that we do want to talk about some coaching in this as well, because a lot of people commit to a coach, commit to programming, whatever it is, and think that that's enough to get to their goals. That the 4-month commitment, the 6-month commitment, the 3-month commitment, the 12-week program is going to get you to your goals. That's only the starting point. And 12-week challenges, they should just be enough to spark your motivation to actually keep doing your shit the right way, if anything. Otherwise, they are a waste of time and they can actually set you back, looking worse and worse. And memory came up on my stories. You'll love this one and you'll want to take this one. Memory came up on my stories where I was bashing the Maxine's challenge, and I always felt bad with it because I had 2 Maxine clients on my coaching roster, which was But this, like, you'll see people sign up with me that have done Maxine's challenge after Maxine's challenge, and you can see the before and after photos between each one. They look worse after every starting point. They look softer. They're on lower calories. They are more obsessed with food than ever. That, to me, is not progress. Yeah, okay, cool. You got an amazing after photo, but you're back to the start again and you look worse. And you have a worse relationship with food. And every time you do it, you're just adding tax, and it's not just physical tax. You'll enjoy that one.
Yeah. And I mean, again, it circles back to the hard way from the beginning is just the best way. It's the actual shortcut. And it's not going to be as glamorous of as a 12 weeks challenge before and after. But if you're not learning in the process, if you're not working on behavioral change, if you're not working on developing habits and behaviors that are going to be sustainable and serve you long term, whatever your goal may be, it doesn't have to be fat loss, it can be anything. But if you're not building that foundation, again, as you said, they're great to spark some motivation. It's not going to keep you going. And if you just end up in a worse starting position every time you go through that, is it really worth it? Or could you just bite the bullet and commit to something for like a year and actually make progress and actually make sustainable changes? And it's a harder sale because it seems like, people want instant gratification. They don't want to be told like it's going to take you a year to start seeing some major improvements. Whereas like a 12 weeks challenge is like, oh, I could lose, like 6, 8, whatever, like kilos in like 12 weeks. Why wouldn't I choose that option? Because it's instant gratification. It's like, oh, summer's just around the corner. Like if I just do that for 12 weeks, then I'm going to look great. And it's like, okay, well, what happens after the 12 weeks when you don't have any follow-up kind of support and guidance? You're going to regain the weight and you're going to repeat the cycle for freaking ever until you get tired of your own shit and you're like, actually, I think this is not working for me. And unfortunately for a lot of people, it takes years to actually get there. And I can dive into why people why it takes forever to be for like most people to actually commit to something that is going to be more sustainable. And social media, quick sale, people want to make quick money, and it's appealing. It's not what we prefer because we are in the good side of it, but um, it's the quick way, and people are really just drawn to that. And there's so many, especially now if you take, like, we're in May in the northern hemisphere, so not for you guys in Australia, but it's going to be summer here, so we're getting targeted with ads of like shredding for summer and beach body and whatever bullshit marketers are actually working hard on. And it's like, how, as a person who has no education or doesn't know much about health and fitness in general, if you're being targeted and you're like, oh my god, like I could lose 10 kilos and feel super confident for summer, why wouldn't I do that? And sometimes it just takes you to make the mistake enough for you to get tired of your own shit and just be like, I need something better. And I think it's our job to kind of, there's no regulation in the fitness industry, but our job to try to bring as much awareness as we can and education so people can make informed decisions and actually do things the right way as early as they can.
I actually find this to be the hardest part because we can do all that we want, and I see this in Facebook groups all the time. Especially, you can put the messages out there, you can put the comments out there, you just get seen as a big fat bully. People just say, oh, you're rude, blah, blah, blah. Like, I get that all the freaking time, especially when I'm on my phone. I hate typing on my phone, and I'll just be more blunt. But the thing is, people only see things through the lens they want to see it. They will only listen to the stories that match their own stories. And that's where things fall apart, because you can get fed all the right messages and still keep doing the same bullshit that holds you back, because that's the narrative you're seeing through your eyes. I want you to relate your story to this. But with me, it was, I'm short. I don't have a waist. I literally do not have a waist. My ribs, my ribs, and my hips. Ribs. That works. My ribs
That
and my
works.
kiss each other. Like, there is no space in between them. I will never ever have a waist. Me, I used to compare myself to these like 5'6" people, even people that are shorter that have a waist, people that I will never ever 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 in my life look like, because they have waists. They have an hourglass figure that I will never ever have. So I can call myself chunky. I laugh at myself and call myself a big fat thumb, like a big fat toe sometimes. But that's out of a lull, because it's like I accept the fact that I will never have a waist. So what can I actually work on? What can I do to make myself feel better, instead of, this can tie into the whole clothes situation eventually. But that was what held me back. I never thought that things could work for me, because I'm short, because I've dieted, because my body's broken. It doesn't work the same as anyone else's. I've already fucked it up enough as it is, as if it'll do what they're doing. Like, I know the process works. Like, you can see the proof, but it's not going to work for me. And tie this into the fact that people only see, the hardest thing is when people won't get a coach because they see people getting coaches. They think it's just for freaking stage. I'm not getting on stage. Coaches are like, and then when they get a coach, they think it's just for weight loss. When coaches aren't just like, weight loss isn't the most important thing. That's like the tiniest part. And that's exactly why even 4 months with a coach is never enough if you actually want to get progress that you can sustain. And I've had people say, can I just sign up for a month because I'm going to go on holidays anyway? It's like, well, every single time you go on holidays, are you just going to factory reset back to where you were? Like, this is the time when you can actually learn how to fit this into your lifestyle, because you're going to be doing that a lot.
I was going to say, most of, like, not most, a lot of the people I work with are like, I'm just going to get lean and then I'll work on my relationship with food. I'm just going to get lean and work on my relationship with my body. I'm just going to get lean so I can be efficient when I'm actually trying to grow muscle. And I'm like, that you're always going to have events, weddings, weekends away, vacations, Christmases and summers. It's not going away. Like, you can find a freaking reason not to do the thing you want to do but try to avoid doing the hard way. Every single week, every single day can be like, this is a celebration for this. I have like my 6 months anniversary with my partner. I have like the amount of things you can actually find as excuses is just it's infinite. And that's why it's important to know that if you try to get on stage, obviously it's going to be different because you're going to have to sacrifice a lot of things, but you should know that before you try to get on stage. If you're trying to have sustainable results, grow muscle, have like some form of body recomposition, it's going to be a lifestyle transformation and you want it to be sustainable. So if you go on vacation, you can actually learn how to make it fit your lifestyle, even if it's new, even if you're going to make mistakes, you can learn from them. And that's actually how you fucking learn anyway. But yeah, that the whole can I commit for a month because then I'm going on vacation? It's like, well, yes, you can. Are you going to get anything out of it? Probably not. And this is why if you're going to work with someone and you're going to actually commit, like do it the right way and commit for a longer amount of time than just like 3 months. Can you see trends, like can you see changes in 3 months? For sure. We're never going to tell you that 3 months you're not going to see anything, because like how the hell would we be selling anything if like we would tell you in 3 months you're not going to see anything? But if you want to make the changes sustainable and learn how to individualize the things you're after, how to work with your coach, because you need to develop a relationship with your coach. Like every relationship, if you want it to work, if you want to be collaborative, if you want to be supportive, you have to learn how people work, because not two people are going to be the same. So yeah, that's my thought on that.
If I love the way so you said something, I'm like, oh, that's perfect. If you're going to work with someone and actually commit, in Jackson's words. But here's the thing, like, if you aren't willing to commit, then what the fuck are you doing this for? Like, literally, what are you doing this for? What do you want out of it? Results? Because you need to commit regardless. And if there's no commitment, there's no results. And there was something else that we needed to touch on, and that's a lot of people don't actually know what the process looks like. They don't know what commitment actually looks like.
We're twinning so hard, because that's exactly what I was going to say when you were going through that. I was going to say, most of the time I understand that people are kind of nervous about committing for a long time because they don't know what they're going to be doing. And that's why when I get consultations with people, I ask them, like, what's your main goal? We're going to take it step by step, but roughly across 6 months, across a year, this is what it's going to look like. If you're trying to body recomp and you're skinny fat, maybe we're going to do like a intentional gaining phase that's going to be, pretty controlled, not gaining a bunch of fat on top of muscle, but we're still going to need to gain, and then we'll strip down, and then we'll maintain, whatever it may be. But people need, and again, like, the way we talk may seem harsh, we're not trying to be dickheads, but people do need to see that, we have a plan. It's not just telling you to stay with us so we can just have you for a year. It's actually, if you commit for a long amount of time, you are going to see the results that you want, but you need to commit. And the kind of barrier for a lot of people, it's actually not knowing what's going to happen.
But here's the question, like, how has what you've been doing been working for you? Honestly, yeah. How has chasing both losing fat and building muscle been working for you? Bringing the clothes here as well, because something that I saw someone say on a comment once was, so basically I just want to, like, I have some definition here, like I got some results here, I lost some weight there, but then I have this bit of fat that I just need it to like turn to muscle. And it won't go away. And then there's a clothes argument. Like we were talking before we started this podcast, and this is the perfect segue for it, which is why I really needed to bring this up, in that people don't understand that if you actually want to build the body that you want, you can't skip the building part. And the building part takes place outside of the breaking down part. And the breaking down part is the fat loss part. Fat loss is not where results happen at all. You think that it's where results happen, but it's not. That is what reveals the results. You build results outside of the fat loss phase, because fat loss isn't living. Fat loss is a small phase of time that reveals the hard work that you put into life, that you put into lifting, that you put into nourishing yourself with good food. And when you see it in this perspective, little blips in time don't seem that hard anymore. And if you zoom out and realize that as well, then you won't be chasing perfection. You'll realize, okay, I just need to buckle down for this period of time, shred this fat off, and then return to this thing called living where I'm actually making progress. But again, it's not a waiting room. People treat it like a waiting room to get back into the next fat loss phase, as though life is all just about losing fat, getting smaller, getting leaner, trying to lose this, picking apart the amount of process I see. How do you get rid of like this little part here? And if you're not watching the video, I'm picking at my bra fat. How do you get rid of like this really weird part of my belly? Oh, I have this like really weird thing on my thigh. How can I get rid of that? Like, people are picking apart every single freaking part of their body. Like your body is just meant to be made of bone and skin and nothing else. And it's like, really? You're not freaking Skeleton George. It's like, come on. We need to understand that the process is this longer time, and sometimes you need to let go of some clothes sizes and realize that you can feel amazing in your clothes one day and feel like a fat whale the next day. Did your clothes just shrink? Did you just get bigger? No, because it's just the same as how you feel about your body image in the mirror. The clothes, your feelings within the clothes can also change. And then there's the fact that they can actually get tighter. But I'm going to let you talk about that because you nailed it before I clicked record.
There's a lot to mention, but I'm going to start with body image because I think it's important. You can't remove the bad body image days, especially in our society, culture, social media. Like, there's no way you're going to wake up every day and feel so good about your body. And that's why, if you chase having a perfect body image, first, getting leaner is not going to make the bad body image days go away. It won't. It actually, in my experience, in a lot of people's experiences, if you've ever competed before, you'll know that the leaner you get, the worse your body image is. It's totally dysmorphic. I'm not talking about just getting a little bit leaner. Like, I'm actually talking about living lean and trying to get more and more lean over time. Your body image will be completely fucked up. And it just fluctuates, like hormones, water retention, just, wearing clothes that one day were feeling great and today you just hate how they fit you. Maybe you are digesting a big meal and it's actually pushing, like, your stomach is distended, which is totally normal. Digestion is a normal thing. Like, many factors come into having a bad body image that you cannot avoid them. And if you do an exercise of like considering your body image across a whole week, your body composition across a week is probably not going to change that much. Even if you have crazy hormonal fluctuations, you're never going to lose, 10 pounds of body water overnight, or like maybe in rare cases. But aside of that caveat, unless you have like extreme conditions, you're not going to have a huge difference in your body composition. Your body image can vary so much. And that's just many factors. Comparison on social media, and we circle back to that a lot. So, audit who you follow. If you follow a lot of people who are shredded, posing, editing their pictures, you're probably, going to take a lot of inspiration and influence from that. And that is going to impact your body image. But also just doing things that make you feel better. Like, if you are wearing clothes that feel really tight on a certain day, just wear something that's more comfortable. And I'm going to say something so cliche, but like, the clothes like are meant to fit you, not the other way around. Did I get that right? Is it the other way around? Get that right?
Right.
So it's like,
make the clothes work for you. Stop trying to make yourself clothes.
Yeah, and you're not gonna control everything. And the more you're trying to control how you feel about how you look, especially on the bad body image days, you're just gonna spiral into a negative. Like, it's just gonna get worse. I don't know where I'm going with this, but anyway.
What do you say to people that are still so hung up about their clothes? Because you can't stay fitting in the same clothes forever. And we know that maintenance is not, it's almost like people expect to get to this point and then just stick there for the rest of their lives. Like, literally, they do not expect their bodies to fluctuate at all. or the fact that their emotions will fluctuate all the time, or the fact that once you finish a diet, you are in your most depleted phase. You don't have glycogen, you don't have water, you have less food in your belly, you're used to chasing hunger, you're used to an empty belly, you're used to shitty training sessions, so you're not training really hard, you're not getting a lot of blood volume in your muscles, and then you go to train really hard and now your clothes feel tight, and then you realize that, hey, we're not dieting anymore, we're actually trying to go into a maintenance phase. But hey, maintenance doesn't just mean you're going to grow fat. Like, there's muscle tissue to grow, there's glycogen, and there's the fact that if you've lost a lot of weight, or if you're a skinny fat person, I see this a lot with people who are more of the skinny fat type, they're more of the slender type. I was meant to tag you in one of my old posts, but it was something like using clothes as a metric, using the scale weight as a metric, or even just any type of percentage. No, the percentage was later. Using clothes as a metric, using any numbers as a metric is going to hold you back as a smaller female, because the fluctuations are much greater of a percentage because we are so much smaller, and we will feel them a lot more. Like, if we are small, there's like a 1 kilo change, for example, or like just any shift in our body is going to feel like a greater magnitude than it will on someone that's a bigger person. And if we're tiny as it is, we will never see ourselves as that. When I was freaking lean, you can attest to this because I know you talk about this as well. But I was looking at like my comp prep stuff and I'm like, I never ever want to look like that again. That is the most unattractive shit I've ever seen. And when I was in that mind frame, all I wanted to do was get leaner. I was complaining about having fat here, fat there. I'm too flat. Oh no, now I'm too fat. Oh, I don't like this part of me. I can't let go of this leanness because now this is my body. But it was gross. And I was talking about it with one of my male friends, and he's like, yeah, bro, you realize that guys actually like things to like grab onto. And we just laughed. I'm like, yeah, there was nothing there to grab onto, but I still felt like a fat blob. Like, you can be the leanest person and still not see yourself as that. And here I was, you brought this up too, here I was comparing myself to someone more muscular, someone more athletic, someone more fit, who was able to eat all this food, live this life, find it so easy to just maintain this body. And I wanted that, but I didn't see myself where I was. Like, I didn't see the reality of where I was. I thought that I still needed to be leaner, train harder, do more reps, do more sets, do more this, do more walking, do more cardio, do all of this stuff to try to get to this body that was probably like 10 kilos heavier than me. And I remember my coach saying, you know, the body you want, it's about a damn 15 kilo difference from where you are right now, Ruby. I'm like, but she's lean. But they're lean, but bigger. And that is not built chasing a smaller you. And then, but here's this argument. You take this one. I'm gonna say something smart ass to myself that I just then. I'm not Ruby. I have a green wig on now. I'm talking to the Ruby that I just spoke. Yeah, but you at least have muscle. You're leaner. I still have fat to lose. I don't look like you yet. Take that argument.
Yeah, and I mean, again, strip down your expectations and stop comparing yourself to something you can't fairly compare yourself to. Realistically, you're not that person. You are, and when you are, here's a fast track of like how to achieve the physique you actually want without going through the struggles we've been through and the journey we've been through of like competing and chronically dieting for fucking ever before actually realizing that all we needed to do was gain muscle. Stop trying to diet all the time. This is literally your shortcut to your physique. The physique that you want is not like, you don't get there by trying to stay lean or get lean all the fucking time. I chronically dieted for 3 years, fucked up my relationship with my body, fucked up my relationship with food. I was miserable all the time. I couldn't function. I was food focused 24/7. I lost my period. 3 years of that until I realized that this is ridiculous. I'm surviving. I'm not even living. My training sessions are shit. And my goal is to grow and to be muscular. If my training sessions aren't properly fueled and I can't actually give enough of myself and recover, this is pointless. And that's what a lot of people do. They think, I have to get lean. I have to. First year of training. Do you know how many people I have coaching inquiries with people who've been training or, know about nutrition for less than a year who are ready to go through a prep? And I'm like, you're not ready. You're not ready for 5 years at the very least. And I wish someone would have told me that when I prepped, because when I prepped, I was maybe 2 years into my, serious lifting and nutrition journey. So that's your shortcut to the physique you actually want to achieve. It's like, stop chronically dieting. And it's easy to say that because we've been through it. It's a harder thing to sell to people because they're like, yeah, but there's a lot of self-worth issues. It's like, if I don't show that I have like vascularity, if I don't show that I have abs, if I don't show that I have definition, like, I'm not going to be taken seriously. The thing is, if you want to actually look the way you want to look, you have to give that away for a certain amount of time so you can actually grow. And it's the environment you put yourself in. It's auditing your, like, what content you consume. If you're only consuming competitors who are on drugs, shredded year round, or influencers doing photo shoots and staying super lean year round, you're not giving yourself a fair chance of achieving the things you want, because you're putting so much pressure on yourself to achieve something that you actually not, like, the steps you're taking to get there are like the wrong way. You're doing the opposite of like what you want to achieve. So your environment matters, working on your mindsets, the relationship you have with your body, the relationship you have with food, all of these things compound. And I think, there's a lot to say, but I see it so often now that people just crash prep and end up like not even getting on stage, and then develop a poor relationship with food, a poor relationship with their body image. And it's like, oh, I wish I would have never done that. Most girls that I talk to and work with now, I used to work with competitors. I used to work with people a lot for like actual bodybuilding. And now it's like kind of repairing people's relationship with foods in their body, and understanding that you can achieve your physique goals, but you have to go through that process, and you have to strip back down your expectations. And comparison is really, it's so easy because we have access to so much on social media instantaneously, that you cannot not compare yourself, but you have to do the mental work to not let it affect you. And that's the biggest chunk of work you'll ever do.
I love that. And my face just went blank there because I was trying to think of, I was the worst on my body, and I honestly cannot explain or think of how the hell I fixed it. Like, I just don't know and I guess in that, it's showing you that it's just a process of showing up for yourself. It's a process of slowly shifting your thoughts, because I can't pinpoint one thing that completely changed my body image. And
Me
as
neither.
I literally can't. And as most of you are aware by now, because I've mentioned it on a few of my last podcasts, this gut issue has not gone away. And it flares up so many times. I don't know what it is. I'm still getting tests for it. And it could be hormonal. Who freaking knows? But that could easily set me back so much, because I have days where I literally just feel like I have an elephant in my belly. Like like when I say elephant because I feel that pressure. Like, it's amazing how much I have not let it be tied to my worth. It gets me down. I am so sick of it, but not for the fact that, oh my God, I look like a beach whale. Like, I don't say it that way. It's the fact that it is so inconvenient. And if anything,
Yeah.
I'm so freaking pissed off that I can't eat like a normal human being and have the freaking carbs that I want to eat and eat the foods that I want to eat. Like, that is what's annoying me. The fact I can't eat more food and digest more food so I can actually build more fucking muscle. Like, it's the complete opposite. And people also just see all these people prepping all the freaking time, because that is what they show on. So, like, social media isn't showing people that go to the office that friggin' have 100 kids to look after. Like, those people do not have time to post their bodies on social media, nor do they want to post their bodies on social media. Like, the general person is not on social media. What you're seeing is like this fashion show on your phone screen. I'm so elaborate right now, but it's like, that is not the next step to just deciding that you want to lose weight. It's like, I think I need to lose weight. I'm so sick of where I am. I should get a coach to prep me. And that brings us back to the whole fact that people think coaches are just for weight loss, or coaches are just for prepping, or whatever it is just for weight loss. No one ever actually stops to even think, okay, cool, what happens once I lose the weight? Or they don't even think about the actual losing weight part and what they expect at all after that, or their whole expectations of it is wrong. But I want to go back to the idea that you started before, because I just remembered what it was. ADHD twins. I just want to lose the weight first, and then I'll gain muscle. I just want to lose fat first, and then I can worry about building my food up. I can worry about my metabolism later. I can worry about my hormones later. I can worry about whatever the hell it is after I lose the fat. And then we can get stronger. Then we can worry about the rest. And then there's also the person that just finally starts to get the shit together, and then, I have a photo shoot for this birthday date, or I want to do a photo shoot here. Or people just throw themselves into photo shoots all the time these days because it's the new cool thing to do.
And that's why thinking long term, it's like, okay, you want this now, but how is it going to serve you a year, 2 years, 5 years down the line? Do you want to have a quick fix right now and feel good about yourself for like 3-4 months, and then having to do it all over again? Because you find out that when you chronically diet, and I'm not talking about like a sustainable fat loss approach, I'm talking about crash dieting, chronically dieting consistently, and a lot of us have been through that for years. When you do that for so long, you just spin your wheels. You're literally getting nowhere, and you're probably doing a lot of damage physiologically and psychologically on the way. So it's like, do you want a quick fix that is going to put you potentially back to like a worse starting position in 3-4 months? Or can we work on something that is going to challenge you, make you feel maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but you have to be uncomfortable if you want to get somewhere? And I mean, chronically dieting is fucking uncomfortable. It's familiar, sure, but it's freaking uncomfortable too. Yeah, or
familiar, because that's what you brought up
yeah.
before, familiar with the clothes. Keep going down that rabbit hole.
But everything is like, diet culture, social media, comparison, everything ties into that specific point. But it's familiar. It's not fantastic, but like, why did we go through 3 years, 4 years of chronic dieting and damaging our mental and physical health? It's not, you don't feel great, but it's soothing and it's comfortable and it's familiar. So it's like, do you work with someone? Do you collaborate? Do you take steps into, yes, you're going to feel somewhat uncomfortable, but you're actually going to grow? And this is why coaching is a collaboration too, because you have to meet the client where they're at and actually teach them that they can trust themselves to get better and make progress and trust themselves. Like, that's also why people get coaches. It's not just to tell you eat that amount of calories and go do 2 leg days and 2 upper body sessions a week. And it goes so much deeper than that. If you find a good coach, which is, I get, tricky in a lot of ways. If you have a coach that has a collaborative approach, that individualized thing, that is really client centered and work with you, down the line, like, you have to give some trust away. And I understand that it's complicated because some people in this industry are not very, compassionate, ethical. Like, you can put it whatever way you want, but you have to give some trust away. You do your due diligence before, but have a conversation, ask questions, make sure you know what you're getting into, ask like, how does the check-in work? Am I going to have access to you throughout the week? Is this actually going to be a collaboration? Are you going to teach me things? And it's like, you can screen your coach the same way we screen clients. It's like, are they going to help me? The goal for us is not for you to work with us like forever. It's to teach you to make informed decision and to feel comfortable doing the things down the line. But it's not going to take 3 months, and you have to take, the time to build that relationship. And that's why a good coach, in my opinion, that is probably a pretty biased opinion, but if you're only working with them for like 2-3 months and you don't have regular check-ins and you don't have any form of accountability, if you don't have any form of interaction, probably not the best investment. But ask them how they work.
I want to hammer on something just there,
There
because
you go.
I want you to take this one. The difference between a coach and a person that only cares about numbers in the door is this whole macro coaching thing, where you just get a macro and a training plan. And the difference between getting regular check-ins, which can be they can be fortnightly, they can be weekly. Like, sometimes you don't need the hand holding through the week. Like, weekly check-ins can be plenty for someone that has a lot on their plate. And I know a lot of people that prefer fortnightly check-ins because they have so much going on. But there is a difference between a check-in that literally just takes, give me your scale number on the scale. Give me your accountability on the percentage out of 100. Give me your photos. Cool, this dictates the next bit. Cool, go on, goodbye. Take that. Because that pisses me off.
And it pisses me off too, because I've never worked like that, but I've known a lot of people who do work like that, and it's questionable. That's also another issue with the fitness industry being totally unregulated, but I mean, it's a deeper issue. But yeah, do something that works for you as a coach first, because you also want to keep your sanity and be able to work your, the best way possible to attend to your clients. But also make sure that people have a way of working with you that works for them as well. And that's why I will never scale my business to have fucking 50 clients a month, because it's not realistic for me. It would take me so much time. And I'm okay with maybe charging more per client and have less clients and actually working with them. But the whole check-in, like, not just giving you numbers, it's like you're just another number to them. Like, you're not, like, you're so much than just a body or like a before after picture. And there are a lot of people who think it's just a numbers game, and that if you can scale that. I've done a business course, and the goal was just to scale into fucking oblivion. It's like, how many clients can you get while doing the least work possible? And I do get it that as a business owner, you have to, in some ways, make sure you get enough money and you get paid more overtime and whatever. But it was so, yeah, yes, exactly. It was so unethical. And I'm like, this is not the way I can work with people and bring them results. So I mean, I can speak about the problems in the fitness industry for fucking 3 hours if you want to. But start there. Screen the coach as much as we screen clients. I don't work with everybody because I don't think everybody is a perfect fit for me. And the same way you may not find that the coach is the best fit for you, but ask them how they work. Ask them their long-term plan. Ask them how how they're willing to work with you. And I don't enjoy too much the discussion around coaches aren't babysitters. That bothers me in some ways, because yes, if you commit to coaching, you need to be like, keep yourself accountable in some ways, but at the same time,
there are client expectations that you need to uphold. Yes. And I hate that as well. The whole like, coaches aren't there to keep you accountable. Like, there is a reason, like, that is why there are check-ins. Like, you need to do your due diligence to get onto the check-ins when you can, or at least even when you're struggling, use the freaking check-in, because that is what we're here for. We're here to keep you accountable. We're here to help you through it, because you're okay. We're not here to hold your hand, but we're here to make the process a hell of a lot easier. And just because there was one thing you said that I want you to finish talking up on, because it was so important. When you actually approach a coach, realize that your process and your way of thinking that things are meant to look, or what the process is meant to look like, is why you're stuck where you are. So things do need to change. You do need to embrace a new way, but you need someone who's willing to work with that. And I will never get like frustrated enough at the fact that there are coaches out there that do just pin you on a scale number and a percentage of accuracy check-in. And if you don't hit that, then you either get the same macros, or if the scale hasn't budged down, you just get a slash of calories without any other context.
That's almost like blackmail.
I see crazy. It all the time. It just drives me nuts.
I know. When you work with people over time, you realize how many fucked up stories people have about ex-coaches that they used to have. It's mad. But what I was getting at is, even if we're not babysitters, that's I'm okay with the fact that, you know, you can only keep a client accountable like in certain ways. But I think as coaches, we also have to understand that, you know, not everybody's the same, and you have to maybe change your ways too. It's like, yeah, you're going to put the client into a lot of discomfort sometimes, and it can be overwhelming and whatever. But if you overload them with too many things at once, or like the way you work with them doesn't work for them, like, I'm not saying revamp all your processes and systems, but there may be people who bring up valid points on like, the way you work with me does not work for me. And I'm like, we're neurodivergent people. We both have ADHD. I worked with people with ADHD, and I promise you, I do not work the same with people who have ADHD as I work with people who don't have ADHD, because it's different. They miss check-ins. They have like time blindness big time, and they're like, they don't do it on purpose, but you have to find a way that works for them as well. And, you know, maybe that's your niche, and maybe you just want to cater to these people, and that's okay. But it's like, I don't expect everybody to react the same way. And I think it's like a kind of a fault on our part. And I say our, like, as fitness industry coaches, but it works both ways. Like, yes, you have to be willing to commit and be somewhat uncomfortable, but as coaches, we also have to meet people where they are and maybe change a few things. And again, I'm not saying like completely change everything that you do, and maybe sometimes accept you're not just the right fit for them, you're not the person to help. Like, I see it sometimes when I screen people for eating disorders. I have people, I can't clinically diagnose someone with an eating disorder, but the way they speak to me, they're like, oh no, I don't have an eating disorder, and then explain everything. And I'm like, you need a dietitian that's specialized in what you're experiencing, because this is really not my scope of practice. And I mean, there are so many like coaches with no qualifications, like restoring like your periods, regulating your hormonal like menstrual cycles, and no qualifications whatsoever, which really bothers me. Because anyway,
let's just put you on a gut protocol with some hormone stuff.
Oh my god.
Yeah, something you said that is really important, and this is exactly why this is why I have the confidence I have in my coaching now as well, to be able to take on people that have disordered relationships with food and eating disorders, because I knew that I can't do that. So I got a therapist who specializes in eating disorders, so that they can help the people that I cannot help, because I cannot help that. And you said something so important there. And that's because I have 3 clients with ADHD. I have to message them 3 times a week to get them to do their shit.
Yeah.
Because I know that they won't do it. I approach all of my clients differently, but this isn't always a coach thing as well. And I know that most people listening to this aren't coaches, they're clients. And well, they're either clients or people that just are trying to do it for themselves. So the best thing that I can say is, you need to be honest and open with what you're struggling with and where you need help, because people can't read minds. And if you feel like you need a coach, you need to understand this as well. And that when you get a good coach, they will work with you. They will figure out how they can work, how you work best, because you might need them. You might need to have, for example, I don't know, like less check-ins. Like, it's too much for you. So you just want to have like something to sum things up at the end of the week every week, or at the end of the fortnight every fortnight, or whatever it is. or you need them to actually remind you through the week to do your check-ins, which like for me, I have one of my ADHD girls to actually have reminders on her phone as alarms. Hey, do this, because sometimes you need to be accountable to yourself and make it easier for your process. So for the girls that I know need the reminders, I make them set their alarms on their phone so it goes off and it goes off. And that way you are being self-sufficient. You are helping yourself through the process. Like, set the alarms, know where your weakest links are so that you can keep moving. And I want to tie everything that we just said back into the body image thing, because that's what this part one is all about. And this isn't meant to be around, like, because like I said, most people listening to this aren't coaches. So it's like, how does this apply to me? But this is the very thing, like us, Jess, me, we are examples of coaches who give a shit. We are example of coaches who actually care about your well-being and your health and getting you to where you want to be. An example of a bad coach is someone that isn't willing to challenge you when all you want to do is get into a fat loss phase all of the time, or when you want to actually lose some fat for summer or for a photo shoot when you aren't physically in the right place to do that. If they challenge you, that is a good coach. If they just do what you want to do because they want your money, then that is not a good coach. Like, it needs that thing. But bringing it back to the body image, you will never have a good body image.
Hold on. Can I say something first?
Yes.
Growth happens at the border of challenge and support. You need both.
That's at 50-50 as a time point. That's perfect.
Carry on.
Like, you need to, like, there is no growth if there's no challenge. And something that you need to remember with the body image part of all of this, I'm so happy I remember that. But with the body image part of all of this is, you will never have that positive body image if you are not challenging yourself, like Jess said, if you're not growing yourself, like Jess said. But also, if you aren't actively working on yourself, if you aren't showing up for yourself to do the things that you know you need to do, if you aren't getting out of that cycle that you know you need to get out of to actually start actively working towards the person you want to be, if you have, like, most people that struggle are the ones that keep trying to do it on their own because they don't have faith and trust in their plan. So the moment they get uncomfortable, they think they're going backwards, so then they don't commit to it, and then they self-sabotage, put themselves back into a diet, reactive dieting, or they just figure out a way to go back to what they're used to doing because it's comfortable, it's familiar, and again, stop themselves from progress. If you don't have confidence in your plan, if you don't trust yourself, if you aren't patient with yourself to take it the right way, the long way, the learning, the uncomfortableness, the relapsing, because there will be relapse, you are not going to have that body image that you need to move forward because you aren't showing up for yourself with the things that you know you need to do to get to that next stage. I'm going to let you sum that little body image part up because we need to do a part 2.
Because confidence is something you build over time. Like, you don't wake up one day and be like, I feel so fucking great about myself and I'm so confident. Like, you build confidence by taking small actions every day and just be consistent with actually showing up for yourself, whether that's related to body image or anything else, really. But to stick to body image, you're not, whatever you do, you can do the most work on your mindset and your psychological approach to how you look and how you feel about how you look. You're never going to have a perfect body image every day. Like, this is unrealistic. And if you chase looking the best so you can feel great about how you look all the time, you're setting yourself up for so much failure. Because I now think I have a great relationship with my body overall, but it's like, oh, I've kind of fixed, repaired, whatever the word I don't want to use heal because I hate that word, but I feel good about my body most days. And it's like, now that I've fixed kind of that relationship with my body in general, and I'm not too bothered by the things that used to bother me, I have other things creeping up. It's like, now it's my skin, and it's like, I can't stop obsessing about it. So I have to redo the work that I did on my body image across, like, my body overall to my skin. And it's like, you can't avoid those days. They will always be there. Like, and especially as women, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen to men, but we have hormones that fluctuate throughout the month that makes it so hard for us to not, like, feel like shit about our bodies, like, at least a week per month. So chasing perfect body image all the time is unrealistic. What you can chase is the confidence that when the bad body image days happen, you can handle them. And it's a lot of psychological work. It's actually training yourself. Yeah, it's confidence. It's like training yourself. Like, it's not comfortable. I don't really enjoy how I look today, but it's not going to prevent me from doing the things I need to do. I can still show up to the gym. I can still do whatever activity I had planned. I'm still going to eat my meals because it's important for my goals and it's aligned with my values and whatever. But I'm not going to let it stop me from doing the things I need to do. And that's also how you build confidence. It's learning how to overcome these days. And it's not fucking easy. And that's why people avoid it. People prefer to keep chasing fat loss forever instead of facing the hard truth that even if you're super lean, you're always going to have these days. And might as well do the work now so you can actually chase your physique goal instead of just chasing fat loss forever and like just.
Oh my God, that is perfect. I need to repeat that part. Sorry. Do you want to chase a fat loss goal or a physique goal? They are not the fucking same. Go listen to my first episode with Luke, the 250 episode. He's like, we are not here to just lose fat. We are here to build a physique. If you want to build a physique, if you want weight loss, fat loss, they are two different things. Fat loss, weight loss, this basket. Building a dream physique, that basket. That was like the perfect line, and it was just, I love that. I'm gonna make that the title of this episode.
Okay.
Part of it. Honestly, that is like, honestly, ask yourself: do you want to lose weight, or do you want to change your body?
And we haven't even touched on all the negative adaptations that come with chronic dieting, and that could be like a freaking hour podcast just specifically on that. So it's like,
and that's exactly what we are going to give you. We're going to come back with a part 2 talking about all the things that you need to be aware of, the cost of certain goals, what you need to be willing to, like, you need to be honest with yourself with what you're willing and not willing to give up. And even if you are not lean, even being a moderate body fat, still chasing lean because you are so freaking under muscled and you've been trying to diet your whole life, or you lost a lot of weight before, all that stuff has a lot of negative repercussions that will hold you back the more that you keep trying to chase that because you were too uncomfortable with embracing buying new fucking shorts or whatever it is. Like, I get it. We've been there before. We're not trying to be mean, just like Jess said. And I want to emphasize one last thing before you wrap up body image, and that's the very thing that we both have mentioned. Confidence is in showing up for yourself over time. And that's exactly what I said when I don't even know what it took for me to heal my body image, and neither does Jess. And that's why I made a face because you mentioned the skin comment, and I've invested more into skincare now for the same reason. It's like, I actually care about my skin now. Whereas before I was just too obsessed with my body to even think about anything else.
But the fact that we got rid of that mentality or chasing being lean at all costs, I think it's background work. It happens over time, and it's not like a massive breakthrough. Like, you don't wake up one day and be like, I'm done with this shit. You just build up your tolerance, and I think you just build up your annoyance. It's like, I keep waking up every day when I was chasing like just fucked up mentally and physically, and I was like, am I ever going to get tired of that bullshit? And saying this every day, I woke up one day and eventually I was like, I'm not living. I'm literally just surviving. Like, you can go on vacation, take the most beautiful pictures and be happy because you have a six pack. And it's like, you're fucking miserable inside. What's the point? There is no point. And I think you wake up one day and, it's a lot of overtime work of like being really annoyed at yourself. But you wake up one day and you're like, that's it. Today, I am so tired of this bullshit. Like, I'm going to stop doing that. And I think that's what happened to me. I prepped, competed, qualified for Worlds, competed at Worlds. And then I went on a road trip in Florida. And I thought that I felt great about myself. And then I came back home and it was Christmas time. And I realized how disordered everything still was. And I'm like, this needs to stop. And overnight, I stopped tracking my calories. I stopped weighing myself. I just ditched all of it. And I'm not saying you have to do this. Please do not do this if if you feel stressed about even just thinking about it. But that was the right decision for me back then, and it really helped me. And I haven't tracked my food or weighed myself since then, and I feel the best I've ever felt about myself. And it's not to say you have to do that to achieve what I did, but I think you have to just be so tired of your shit at some point and be like, this is not working for me anymore and something needs to change. And then finding what needs to change. And if you don't get it right the first time, you get to try again.
I love that. And I want to sum this part of the podcast up with the fact that when you realize and slow down, when you slow down and realize that what you're doing, for starters, isn't serving you. And I had a little what the fuck moment again, because you said something that I saw was a post of mine, literally how you said it. I was not living. I was just merely existing. I was not experiencing life. I was just going through the motions. And a lot of people are in that phase, but they don't realize it. But also at the same time, there are a lot of people living, but they're not thriving. They're not living the best they can. So showing up for yourself is one of the biggest things that you can do. I am going to be popping on another podcast within the next 2 weeks, either next week or the week after, with Jess. We're going to talk about everything that we mentioned not that long ago. So that.
Can I mention something else? I'm so sorry. One last thing.
Sum it up. I want you to tie it up with a bow. I'll let you sum it up. Go.
Something that helped me, I haven't even thought about mentioning this, and it's huge. Making sure that I knew what my values were and realizing that the discomfort of me constantly chasing being lean was so misaligned with my values. My values are freedom and growth and connection. And everything that I was doing was literally the opposite of those. And then I realized, and I'm like, my therapist back then had me do the values exercise. So I'm like, what do you feel are your values? And then you pick 2 or 3. And then from that, they ask a bunch of questions like, when do you feel you're living into your values? When do you feel you're like actually misaligned with your values? And I was like, I am so misaligned with all my values. And I am, just doing everything against it. And that's why I felt so uncomfortable. I'm like, if I actually take it from a place of like, these are my values and this is what I have to do to actually feel better about everything that I'm doing. And doing the values exercise, all of my clients, when I onboard them, we set goals based on their values. So we do values-based goal setting, and it's the best thing ever, because then we get to identify if it's actually their goals or if they're just like a byproduct of like, social media influence or whatever. So values, so important. I don't know why I didn't mention that before.
I'm putting that onto what we want to talk about next time, because now you just sparked me wanting to go into a freaking 30-minute rant, because all of the time it's like, are your goals actually your own? Where did they come from? And we're going to add that onto the next podcast. There's we could go on about this for ages. But with that, I'm going to put Jess's Instagram thing below. I'm so excited to get her back on to talk again. We're like, this is probably the most important topic that will lead to long-term results if you can embrace this, be patient with this, and even just sit with the discomfort of listening to such an uncomfortable conversation. Is there anything else you want to say?
Perfect. Nope.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, go and give us a message and let us know. Share this podcast, give this podcast a rating, and we will see you on the next podcast, which will be you'll hear the next one, episode 273. This will be 271.
Hey.
I think. But yes. Yay! Thank you.